Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of In One's Kin. Tonight, we're going to be talking about dinosaurs. Lots and lots of dinosaurs. I hope everyone enjoyed last week's episode, if you got to listen to it. If not, please catch up, because this episode is going to be just as good, if not better. I'm joined this week by Robert.
Hello.
And Veet.
Hello, hello.
So, how was your week, Robert?
My week has been very exciting, interesting. I drove 7 miles to a friend's house, so I'm actually in Idaho right now, in the domicile of very small children who are rambunctious and excitable, and I've spent every morning playing Magic the Gathering, which then turned into playing Magic the Gathering Commander mode, and then we were like, hey, let's add Plane Chase because our brains just aren't melted enough yet. So it's been fantastic, and tomorrow there's more Magic the Gathering, and then there's going to be Batman vs. Superman, and I'm actually having a blast. It's been great.
That's awesome. It sounds very nerdtastic, which I approve of.
I played a deck of squirrels and beat up a 7-year-old with it. I'm just having a blast.
So, Veet, how was your week?
Let's see, how's my week? I'm in the middle of a stint of night shift at the moment. So when I work my night shift, it feels like I'm just in this fog, this haze, until I come out the other end. So I'm just, if I sound a little hazy, a little foggy, yeah, that's the reason why. Though definitely heading to Superman v Batman, either tomorrow or Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that.
You were right the first time. It's Batman vs. Superman. Also, Dawn of Justice.
Yes, true. That's true. Because we need the extra little bit just to.
You man, this is the start of the Justice League.
Okay. Oh well. Okay. All right. I see. I make the connection now. Okay.
Superman v Batman: Dawn of Justice. The beginning, first cut, first blood.
The R-rated cut comes later.
Seriously?
They're going to have an R-rated director's cut later.
Oh, I can't wait for all the CG blood to be added in.
And all the jive talking Superman and Batman, yeah.
So speaking of comic books, I have been absolutely glued to Daredevil.
Wow.
They're both rated R. Daredevil Season 2, it's really good. Watch it. Watch Season 1. I'm actually enjoying Season 2 more than Season 1. There's a lot of really good action set pieces in this one that are handled really well. So, yeah, that's good. The storyline's good. I'm really enjoying it. That's pretty much what I've been doing. Watching Daredevil, like, every day.
That's good to hear. I'm really excited about it. I haven't got a chance to watch it yet. You know, I've been over here, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's fun. What was that, Veet?
No, I was going to say, yeah, I've seen the first and just itching to get into more. Absolutely.
What about you, Ten?
What about me?
How's your week been? Just other than...
Pretty good. Still waiting to hear anything back from that job application. I called them because that's what you do. You have to pester them so that they go, that dude's annoying. Let's hire him. I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft for some reason. I don't know. I got a bug in me. I got the itch, and I've been going and doing all the things that I haven't really felt like doing, like gather old mounts and wait on rare pets to spawn. And I've almost gotten everything I've wanted in a single week. It's insane. It's like Blizzard took pity on me and my prayers to RNGesus.
Wow. So dinosaurs.
Yes. So what is our topic for this week, Robert?
We are talking about the most corruptive and destructive influence of my childhood ever, Jurassic Park. And Jurassic Park is actually one of many things that I love dearly and I'm psychotic over. That my very first impression of it was absolute disgust, and I'm like, that looks stupid. The other members of this esteemed group are Sailor Moon and Harry Potter. I saw a toy commercial for Jurassic Park when I was a wee child in third grade, and I was like, man, this looks so dumb. There's this gate, there's this stupid looking toy, there's these action figures, and the narrator was just like, it's Jurassic Park! And he was way too excited about it. I was like, that's so stupid. And then immediately after that, there was a trailer for the movie, and I was like, I'm an idiot. Yeah, so went to go see that. Loved it. Just it's a good movie all around. One of the better movies made, in my opinion. Just solid from beginning to end. Nothing is wasted. And like I said, it corrupted me. I wound up running around on the playgrounds pretending I was a dinosaur, because that's just what you do when you're in third and fourth and fifth and sixth grade. And, eventually you stop in seventh because there's no longer a playground.
True.
Yeah. So, that's just what I did. I like Jurassic Park. As far as how it influences me, it was the first thing that really pushed my love of books, because I wanted so much Jurassic Park that I, in third grade, read all 399 pages of the Michael Crichton novel in 2 days, and I understood it. And this opened up the world of novels to me, so I started reading a lot of Michael Crichton stuff as a little kid, so I read Sphere.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I read all this stuff. I mean, the Andromeda Strain, it was crazy. I'm not even 12.
Timeline.
Did that stuff make sense to you though?
Yes, it did. I mean, not to sound like an elitist jerk, but I was a smart kid.
Okay.
And I understood it and I enjoyed it, and this led me to reading other books and other things. It was also the movie. It was that moment where I decided I need to be a storyteller, because up until that point, I'd always loved dinosaurs, and I'd always kind of made up stories about random things. These people transform into cars, but nothing really coherent and nothing with a lot of passion. I was just being dorky, and all the dinosaur movies before Jurassic Park were, the land forgotten by time. You go somewhere and, oh, there's dinosaurs here. Kind of like, the original King Kong and its remake and other things. Just, they're just dinosaurs for no inexplicable reason. Even the books that I had liked up until that point, like Dinotopia, were just, hey, look, dinosaurs on this island, and they've formed a civilization after you shipwreck and dolphins bring you to the shore. And there wasn't ever a plot to why there were dinosaurs. It was just a byproduct of some, almost mystical event.
Right.
And in Jurassic Park, it was, no. This is the modern day. We're bringing them into a sci-fi environment. So it's no longer like historical fantasy. This is a straight up sci-fi. The dinosaurs are in, horrifically modern environments. There are streets, there's power lines, they're in a kitchen. At one point it was just completely different in its presentation from every other dinosaur movie that I had ever seen come before it. And as a result, I was just enraptured by it. I had to have more of this, but I also felt that was just so amazing, and I want to tell stories like that. And ever since, I've written short stories, I've drawn pictures, I've tried to make comic books. At one point in grade school, I made a series of trading cards about dinosaur characters, and all of the trading cards actually told a story if you put them all together, bit by bit. And they, at first, because I'm a little kid and I'm stupid, they were all evil. But then I decided I was tired of writing evil characters, and I made them good guys, and I didn't even retcon it. I just had them change their minds.
Oh man, you totally went puppet master on it. By like the fourth
movie.
By the fourth movie, they're the heroes. Yeah.
Yeah, puppet master's weird. But I just it really influenced a lot of, frankly, where I am right now. And I love reading books, I like telling stories, and I'm still obsessed with dinosaurs. Jurassic World was the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Wow.
So yeah, I just I don't even know where to begin with this. I'm so into it. So why don't you guys ask me some questions first?
Totally agree. You're absolutely right. The movie brought out every primary school kid's fantasy I think every boy, and I know I'm generalizing here, goes through a dinosaur period in their life, and they just sort of get enraptured by these big beasts that actually lived on our planet at some time. And that's the beauty of this movie, in that it brought it to life, and the technology was around that they looked so real. This wasn't stop motion. This wasn't overlaid animation over on top of film. This was genuine CGI, and it looked like they were there stomping around, biting around, and it just felt so real. So yes, I was in my 20s, but my God, my 12-year-old boy in that cinema was just having a blast.
You have a son?
No, my 12-year-old boy, my inner 12-year-old. I'll put it that way. Was having a blast with this movie. And you're right. The story, the science, the science fiction. It was just a great movie. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. The first movie is my favorite because it is very, very Spielberg, and it's him doing his best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm actually kind of funny about that because this movie also made me obsessive over Steven Spielberg. Like this was when I started paying attention to who actually makes something. I had the Making of Jurassic Park book. I became obsessed with its storyboards at the back of the book, which is kind of where I took my entire how to draw comic books from, was this storyboard section. So the influence is insane for me. I mean, we're going to be talking about my life story if I'm not careful. But I became really obsessed with Steven Spielberg. And it's interesting that you mentioned this is Spielberg at his best, because I really haven't liked the things he's done since Jurassic Park. For me personally, he kind of peaked. Like he still had some decent films that were fun to watch, but like nothing of that quality. Like I haven't enjoyed anything nearly as much as Jurassic Park since then, which yes, does mean I don't like The Lost World nearly as much. In fact, I hate it, but we'll get there.
No, I agree. In terms of science fiction, I don't think he's reached the same heights. I think he's done other dramas and other movies that I think have been very good movies, but I don't think he has reached the same peak since Jurassic Park.
Right. I mean, like, I like Schindler's List. I like Catch Me If You Can.
Right.
His War of the Worlds remake wasn't terrible, but I haven't enjoyed anything that he's done nearly as much as Jurassic Park. Yeah, and you know, Jurassic Park, I really just, everything about it, the characters, the plot, the pacing was fantastic. If there was one thing I feel the movie doesn't quite do well for people, is it doesn't really introduce the raptors too well. There were actually people in my movie theater who were, when Ellie gets attacked by the velociraptor in the maintenance shed, they didn't know what it was. You know, because they've talked about velociraptors up until that point, but they haven't actually said what they look like. They haven't shown you.
Yeah,
and you're being hunted by velociraptors, Muldoon says, apparently, but you still don't know what they look like. And so she's in the shed, and she says, I think we're back in business. And then boom, right? And you're like, what is that?
Yeah, you're right about that. They talk about basically the monster in the closet, but they would have been well served to at least have sort of shown them earlier on, just, you know, sneak peeks of them.
A little bit, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it just all the way through. It's great. But just to get it off my chest, it's funny that you guys talk about it being like Spielberg at his best, because frankly, a couple years later, he makes The Lost World, which to me was probably Spielberg at his worst. I just, when I was little and I first saw it, I was kind of excited because, you know, hey, more dinosaurs. And it's full of great dinosaur sequences. Like if you watch it in a vacuum with no care whatsoever as to the plot surrounding these events, the dinosaur sequences are really great. I mean, they're exciting. They're fun. There's a lot of variation. There's an attack by herbivores, you know, which doesn't happen in the first movie. So there's some good stuff there. But then when you put it all together, you look at the plot, you look at the characters, you look at the situations, the whole thing just really bothers me. It's one of my most hated films of all time.
What, you didn't enjoy the gratuitous parallel bar scene?
Actually, that's that's one of the least offensive things in my list of hating. Like the movie starts, with an attack on a small child, which the older I get, the more disturbing that becomes, which is the point. But it's not something that I have against the movie, but it just disturbs me, and it puts me in in a negative point. I guess it just makes me not happy for the movie to exist. Whereas like the first movie was just pure joy, even when the dinosaurs broke out and did start killing people. I mean, the first person to die is a lawyer, so I mean, it wasn't anything that just made me terribly upset. I mean, the T-Rex is the hero of part one. It kills the lawyer. It saves him from the T-Rexes. Whatever. But then you go into part two, and every character is a liar, a hypocrite, and the only person who's honest is the person who's supposed to be designated as the bad guy. And it bothers me. And to just kind of go down the list of events, Sarah has gotten to the island by herself somehow already. It doesn't make any sense. We don't even know why she's there.
A wizard did it.
Yeah, totally, right? Hammond sends them to there, and Malcolm's like, I'm going to go rescue her, so I'm going to risk the lives of all these other people to go get her, but whatever. Knowing full well what's on this island. He knows what's going to be there, and there's no fences, and he knows that, but whatever, he's going for it. The guy from Greenpeace, who we were mad at last week over the Inca lines, the guy from Greenpeace is a designated hero, so when he breaks all the dinosaurs out, it destroys all of the hunter's equipment, so no one can call home. He then takes the T-Rex back to the trailers, which gets Eddie killed and destroys their equipment so that still no one else can call home. When the T-Rex attacks the camp, he has taken the shotgun shells out of the hunter's gun, so he can't even save these people from the T-Rex, which also lures them into the tall grass. So every single person who dies in this movie is the fault of the Greenpeace guy, because instead of killing the T-Rex, the hunter uses tranquilizer darts, puts it to sleep, and it's then captured and brought to San Diego, which then allows it to go kill more people.
Yeah, also, that always bothered me, because the only reason for anything really to move this, make stuff like that happen, is a meta narrative from the director saying, I want to see a T-Rex in New York.
Yeah.
And it butchers any investment you have in what the movie's trying to tell you.
Especially since half the characters disappear at that point.
Right. Yeah. They come to America, and now... And that's what lost me, because as soon as they brought the T-Rex into the US, it's like, all right, so now basically we have a Godzilla/King Kong movie.
Yeah, there's even a few Japanese guys running away from the T-Rex saying in Japanese, we came here to get away from this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, dude was in Heroes.
Yeah, and the really offensive thing to me, frankly, during the T-Rex scene is this thing is killing people. And our supposed hero, Ian Malcolm, is adamant that we lure it back onto the boat and send it home, because it just wants to protect its baby. When at the beginning of the movie, that dude was totally ready to wipe out a Stegosaurus defending its baby because he was like, oh, it's after my girlfriend. Right. So apparently he has a very subjective view to the value of human life. If I know the person, I'm going to save them. If I don't know the people, I don't care. They can just die. And that disturbs me the older and older and older I get, because I do draw parallels to certain real world events that are going on as far as people's attitudes. It's like, I don't know the person, and if they die, it's okay.
It's the Jurassic Park franchise. It's funny because I follow a lot of parallels. Okay, so let's just get one thing straight. The Jurassic Park movie, while I hated the third movie because... Okay, we'll get into that later. I didn't like the third movie. The fourth movie just didn't do it for me. But a lot of the same parallels follow the Jaws franchise, where it's like you get this really good idea, and then they're like, that idea was fantastic, let's do it again. And then you're like, why? No, let's just do cool stuff with it. And then at the end, you're like having him charge yachts and cause them to blow up. Somehow the shark can explode things with his nose and whatnot. And thankfully the Jurassic Park franchise pulls back a little bit, but it still reaches that point where it's like a horror franchise. if it's a Jason movie, the most important, the most exciting part about it is that Jason's in it. You don't care about anybody else.
Right.
It's the content is more important than the story. We want an opportunity to present our monsters. Our monsters is what attracts people. Our monsters look great, and it's as if less thought is given to. But what's the story we're going to tell?
What's funny about that is Jurassic World actually is kind of a meta narrative on exactly that. Like that is the point of the plot on a meta level. They are making a commentary as to the state of cinema in many ways. But we'll get to that. Or we can go with it right now. We can kind of just skip Jurassic Park 3 to an extent. Yeah, sure.
Hang on. We'll talk. Let's talk about 3 for just two points I want to make. Thank God Sam Neill's back, because I'm not a big fan of Jeff Goldblum, but I'm a big fan of Sam Neill, and he does sort of hold that movie together to some degree, and the pterodactyls are just brilliant.
Pteranodon.
Just brilliant.
Pteranodon.
Oh man, you triggered the paleontologist.
I did. All right. So yes, please explain.
No, okay, Jurassic Park 3, to me it's harmless. The movie is so bloody pointless that I can actually enjoy it, despite the fact that a T-Rex gets punked by a Spinosaurus that ate fish and its jaw is not nearly strong enough to pull off anything of that nature.
Yep. And swallowed a cell phone, and that's the biggest tension moment is that the cell phone rings. It's like, really? This is so dumb.
It's bad.
And then it's like Jungle Book, where the kid can survive on an island with terrible monsters because reasons. He's like suddenly SEAL Team 6
for weeks. He's been there for like 8 weeks or something. That's absurd.
Yeah, he comes out like Robin Williams. What year is it?
I know. It just the movie is just not good. But like I said, it's harmless. There is no overriding meta narrative. There's no morals. There's I'm not being preached to by a film director about the worth of a human being or anything of that sort, or making like gratuitous assumptions as to who the good guys and bad guys are. I mean, like I was saying in part 2, the only honest person is the hunter. He's like, why am I here? I'm here to hunt T-Rex. It's been my childhood dream. And then when his friend is killed by the raptors in the tall grass, it wasn't worth it. He's actually not a bad dude, but we are designating him as the bad guy because the story says so. It's weird to me. Jurassic Park 3 has none of that. So it's a bad movie. It's stupid, but I can enjoy it because that is the movie where quite literally there are just dinosaurs and I'm watching dinosaurs.
It's straight up Universal Studios-esque movie where it's like, yeah, enjoy the ride. Yeah, loud noises.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, I'll still put it in front of 2, but that's my 2 cents worth.
Oh no, it's way in front of 2. 2 is the bottom of the barrel. Like I'll go into it someday, not today. I have a list of my most hated movies. The Lost World Jurassic Park is number 3. Okay, there are only 2 movies I hate more than The Lost World.
Go on, tell us.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, the 2 movies I hate more.
The Matrix Revolution.
That's right. I hate the Matrix Revolutions. I hate it so much.
So,
but even
Revolutions is number 3. Matrix 3.
No, sorry, Reloaded.
Oh yeah, Reloaded. Sorry, Reloaded.
Revolutions is all right in comparison. I hate Reloaded. I hate Reloaded so much.
Can I be correct on a technicality?
No. I repeated what you said. I've been around a 7 and a 10-year-old for like the last couple days. Okay, I'm out.
Jack.
It's been a lot of fun though. But then the movie I hate the most, and we're not going to talk about it today, but the movie I hate the most of any movie I've ever seen, and this has nothing to do with its quality. In fact, I think it is a crime that all of this wonderful art was wasted on this film. I hate Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Hate it so much.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I hate nothing more than that film.
Which we may talk about when I speak about the Final Fantasy franchise.
Oh, I intend to. I so want to bring that up.
Yeah, we will have to. But yeah. So Jurassic Park 4 or Jurassic Park the World.
Jurassic World. So Jurassic World is kind of an interesting thing. Because I love Jurassic Park. This was like the perfect nostalgia hit. Everything about this was fantastic for me. It came at the right time. It had the right story hook. They may not have done it perfectly, but it was the right hook, and it was fresh enough that I was just there. I liked it. It wasn't as good as the first film, even though I never went in expecting that, because to me, the first movie really is on a pedestal. Nothing comes close. I don't expect anything to come close. It is Jurassic Park, and for me, it is one of the greatest movies of all time, personally. But Jurassic World was the worthy sequel that I felt it always deserved. It was a movie that actually had something to say. It did it well. For me, it had likable characters, even if the love plot line is totally shoehorned in there out of the blue. But the characters were somewhat likable. Even the dinosaurs were characters. And hey, you know what? The original T-Rex is back, and she still has the scars from her fight in the rotunda in part 1. That, I don't care. I can go see that movie over and over and over just because of that. It was just the perfect cocktail of relive your childhood, and oh boy, did I ever. So to explain the fact that everything I'm going to say about this movie is completely biased, I went to go see Jurassic World 11 times in theaters.
Whoa.
Three of those were IMAX. And, yeah, only once was it 2D, so this was expensive. I probably spent about $150 going to go see this movie. Even more if you consider the Seattle travel and food. And there's actually a funny story about, just while I'm on the subject matter of IMAX, when I went to go see Jurassic World, it was premiere, the day before, early premiere. I went to Seattle. I actually made sure that I had the day off, so I made sure I was not available for my substitute teaching at the time and everything else. And I spent the day. I went to Seattle early. The movie didn't start till 7. I was in line at 2:30, waiting to go to the IMAX. And there were all these other people that showed up right after I did. So I was number 1 in line, but there were other people who showed up just when I did. There was a girl there who had the Velociraptors tattooed on her arms. There were people handing out like Jurassic Park pins, wearing Jurassic Park shirts. It was weird. I had never thought of Jurassic Park as like a fandom. But there's totally a fandom. And this one guy said, oh yeah, there's totally a fandom. We just only come out every 15 years. Yeah, and so I was kind of like in this really geeky nirvana. Here's all these other people who like Jurassic Park, so we were just talking all the time about our lives and stuff. And there are people who are like, yeah, I can't wait to take my kids. They're in school right now, but I can't wait to take my kids so that they can have the same experience that I did when I was little. And just, it was just awesome. It was great. I just loved the whole idea of what was happening. And then we go inside, and we're in the line, and we're waiting, and then it's 7 o'clock, and we're still not inside. Usually they seat us at about 6:30, and I'm like, what's going on? 7 o'clock, we're not inside. 7:05, we're not inside. 7:10, we're not inside. And then this person comes out and goes, all right, everyone, I'm terribly sorry. The projector is not working.
Oh.
Yeah. Everybody these free movie and popcorn tickets and stuff. But here's the best part. So I'm angry. I'm mad, but I get my free movie ticket, which I did use later to go see Jurassic World. I get my free movie ticket, and then I look at my options. I'm like, all right, I can take the ferry to get home and try to catch the movies that are where I live before the showings are done, and that's at like 10 o'clock. Or I can try to go to Seattle, where I'm already at, and risk them being sold out. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go for the ferry. So there's this guy in a Jurassic Park shirt running down the streets of Seattle to get across the city so that he can get to the ferry terminals, to get on a ferry to get home. And I'm just running to get home for this. And my mom picks me up once I'm on the ferry, and then we go see the movie 20 minutes from my house. So I've spent the entire day, I've been traveling for hours, and I'm exhausted just so I can go see the movie at a place that I could have practically walked to.
Yeah.
Oh, it was interesting, but the movie was worth it. The movie was great. I had a lot of fun, and then I went to go see it the next day, and then I went to go see it the day after that, and then I waited a little while, and I went to go see it again, and then I went to go see it again, and then I went to go see it again, and then I went to a wedding for my cousin in Texas, and I went to see it there.
It does explain how you picked up on the scars on the T-Rex. You said that you mentioned about the scars on the T-Rex and going, wow, that's commitment. But when you've seen it 11 times, yes, you would notice the scars on the T-Rex. So.
I noticed it on the promotional materials 3 months before the movie came out.
So
okay,
I have something to admit about this fourth movie that I just came to the realization of. So I was going to take my turn and talk about how, it's not a Steven Spielberg film. So how do you make a Steven Spielberg film? Well, you just add the scenes from a Steven Spielberg movie. You have the two kids, the one who's too smart. You have the woman and the man, the T-Rex. You just construct the first movie pretty much. And then I realized something. When he's talking about it being excited, I realized this is what they did with the new Star Wars movie. That it's not to be taken as like, oh, they're trying to up or reach, the same heights as the original movie. No, these movies, so Jurassic World and the new Star Wars, are made so that people can have the same experience as a generation of people had in the theaters years ago.
Exactly.
And now it's an amazing film. I just realized, I was gonna trash this movie, talk about it, and then it's so dumb. It turns into a monster film. And I was like, wait a minute. They made this so people can be like, to have that theater experience of this was my first Star Wars. This was my first Jurassic Park in theaters.
Yeah, and when I went to go see it, one of the things that my mom, because the first 2 times I went, my mom kept coming with me because we both just enjoyed it. And one of the things that we both kept commenting on was who was in line. There were people my age with their kids. There were people they looked like they were in their 60s and 70s without their families. There was just so many different types of people who were going to this because it was like reliving, 20 years ago.
Yep, absolutely. I took my daughter. So my daughter's 16. Certainly didn't see any of the previous Jurassic Park movies. She may have seen snippets here and there on TV, but no, not one of them from beginning to end. Gets advertised. I'm all hyped about it. I take her, and now she's hooked. Right now, guarantee you, when they announce the next one, she'll be asking, "Dad, are we going to go see it?" Because I'm keen.
It's already announced. It's already got a date.
Right. So it was exactly what James said. It wasn't necessarily made to appease the people who already love the Jurassic World or Star Wars. It was to introduce it to a new generation.
Yeah, and it totally succeeded at that too.
Man,
absolutely.
I just
matured.
I just matured live on.
Well, I'm glad I could contribute to this. See, I've made him a better human being. From across the nation, woo, magic! No, it was everything I could have hoped for. There were only a couple of things where I was just like, okay, whatever. Like the way that the Indominus gets out is a little contrived. But here's the thing about that though was, personally, we've been doing the zoo thing for hundreds of years. We would have dinosaur containment even as big and powerful as they're supposedly presented in this movie universe. It would be crazy, but we would know how to do this. Like we would have them contained. So the only way it could get out is if someone did something stupid.
Yep. And that scene is so funny because I'm like, really? You live in this modern / slight futuristic world. The DVR has been around for so long. How are you not using that to record your security footage and be like, hey, back this up, back it up? She just went invisible like an hour ago. Look at that. Let's rewind the tape.
Even that is funny because there are little things that, you know, I've seen it so many times, but there are little things that you catch on, like when they mention to Dr. Wu, who, you know, is from part one, when they mention to him that it hid from the sensors, both the thermal and optical, he's actually kind of surprised, like, because, you know, I mean, spoiler warning for those of you who haven't seen Jurassic World, the Indominus is a military prototype. It is for the theme park. Like, it's not meant to escape and go crazy and do random crap. But it is a military prototype for a genetically engineered weapon. And it is working. It's not supposed to work yet. They just made this one to see if they could do it.
Right.
And oh God, it works. Unfortunately, it works. And it's really large, really powerful, really smart. Because it's one of those things where, like, you know, as I'm watching it, I'm going, wow, this movie's actually a lot smarter than it presents itself to be. I mean, the reason they're doing all of the tests, can you tame the velociraptors, is because if they can tame the velociraptors, then they would know how to train their future Indominus shock troops. You know, like, it was actually not dumb. It was just, you know, the animal just gets out, and the animal getting out had to be kind of contrived, and I was willing to accept it because you have to have it get out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the movie doesn't happen.
Oh, absolutely. But you're right. They certainly did spend more time and effort on the story. There is definitely a fuller story to Jurassic World. I want to bring...
Go on.
Go on. I want to bring up one thing about this movie, and it's not a flaw. It's not something I dislike, but it's something that I feel more movies of this ilk are putting effort and attention on, and that is what I refer to as like a Marvelization. Since the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that the characters and the dialogue and the humor has to follow what we are now used to and what we really enjoy about the Marvel Cinematic Universes. So this movie, I think, falls into that trap. Star Wars Force Awakens falls into this trap a little bit.
Everyone's kind of snippy and sarcastic.
Well, yeah, we're on. It's the new. I guess how would I put it? The new modern cinema wave.
I blame the internet.
Yeah. So yeah. The internet culture is starting to shape how pop culture is formed.
It's just a matter of time till there's a movie about a cat riding a unicorn with a golden gun. All right.
Yeah, maybe.
It's gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen.
So
we will watch that movie, and I will enjoy it.
So we're gonna have a neo Dada revival.
But how? Okay, explain.
Dude. Here it comes.
I'm not convinced that it's just the internet, though. How?
No, it's not.
How? I mean, I understand it. The Marvel Cinematic movies are insanely popular. They've really turned the whole superhero genre on its head, and in part is because of the writing and the attention they put in picking the actors that play those characters, and the way the dialogue is carried out. Very short dialogue, very quick-witted. And I get it. If that's successful, why wouldn't others want to copy it?
Yeah. It's playing to the... So a lot of people entering into Hollywood, making these Marvel movies and stuff, are people my age. So
yes,
they are constructing these movies to cater to the next biggest demographic of people, which are millennials. So you basically have millennials making movies for millennials, which is why a lot of the movies seem the same, because they grew up in the same culture spheres.
Okay.
Yeah, and like if you ever need evidence of this right now, there is a Red Band trailer. So you're warned. There's a Red Band trailer for a movie coming out called Sausage Party, and if that is not the state of cinema going forward, I don't know what is.
Oh, hang on, Sausage Party. Which one's this one?
It's imagine Toy Story, but as food.
Yes, yes. I've
So
heard
it's
of it.
going to be demented, and the F-bomb is going to be used. It's the first
Yes.
American R-rated,
Animated movie. Yeah.
animated
Well,
R-rated
it's
film. Yeah,
Seth Rogen, and you
I
know
know it's
exactly
Rogen,
what
but
you're
I'm
going to
saying
get.
it's also that's the kind of humor and the sort of like deconstruction of a lot of things that just is very popular on a general scale. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you'll see a lot more of that happening. I mean, I would put that in almost like the same vein as Deadpool. You know, like you're going to just see more of that. I mean, even look at TV. What's popular? Rick and Morty.
Oh
I
man,
mean, you
Rick and
know,
Morty, so good.
I, I
you
get.
know,
I get it. I enjoy it. I'm not saying I don't enjoy it. My concern is that it's going to wear thin, and
it might
then
very well.
Well, it's because I mean it's a movement basically inside of media.
no, I get it. It is. It's the fashion. It's the current fashion.
Yeah,
Right.
it's what
That's
the
the way we
movies
make
look
movies at the
like.
moment. Yeah.
It's we're not in the 80s era of filmmaking where it's all over the top and it's pop synth wave music. We're into a new more self-aware style of media
Yeah.
where it can say something, look you straight in the face and say, "Yes, I just said that. Here's why. Now let's laugh together."
Yeah.
Yeah, and that actually is Jurassic World. Jurassic World is a meta commentary on filmmaking in general. The movie even opens up with the lines, "No one is impressed by a dinosaur anymore." So, you know, they're going to, you know, craft a focus group tested, bigger, badder dinosaur. Huge, more teeth, bigger than T Rex, because we always have to escalate the sequel, right? The sequel must be bigger, louder, angrier, flashier. And if we can't have a natural story like that, then we will contrive one. And, you know, the Indominus is basically the current state of Hollywood run amok. Everywhere it goes, it destroys things spectacularly. It keeps ramping the movie up and up and up and up and up and up and up to the point where you have to unleash velociraptors on it. And even when you unleash the velociraptors on it, what does it do? It hacks them. You know, it's just like it is this crazy, ridiculous Hollywood
Yeah.
just
It's
symbol.
it's the
Crashing the
Expendables.
movie.
It's the Expendables.
Yes, and I actually one of the reasons I was terribly excited for Jurassic World as I learned about it was listening to the writer and the director and the writers, sorry, talk about this movie and point out how they were basically crafting this meta commentary, and I found a lot to appreciate in that effort.
But did they actually specify that it was a commentary on Hollywood?
Yes,
Because that's not the way I interpret the movie. And
that's what rewatch it under that auspice. I mean, because like if you look at it that way, it does repaint the film. There was even a sequence, for example, that they ultimately cut from doing, but they developed it a little bit, where they were going to have the Indominus, which is this CGI monster, go into one of the displays and destroy a robot dinosaur, animatic. And you know, because that would be like a commentary. You know, we're not even using computer. I mean, we're using computers now instead of robots.
Yeah, new cinema killing old cinema.
Yeah, and that actually is also why they chose not to do it, because they felt that was just too on the nose.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I felt even watching the trailers, I knew like I could tell they knew what they were doing because the biggest scene from the trailer is Chris Pratt riding a motorcycle leading his pack of trained velociraptors. Like that you don't make something like that without either being an accident or intentional. And I don't think this movie is made accidentally at all.
No, it's really not. I mean, this is a he's not a first time director, but it's his first major film. Colin Trevorrow. The only other movie he had made before this is something that I need to see. I haven't seen it yet, but it was Safety Not Guaranteed, which apparently is a time travel film. So you know that I haven't seen this is kind of insane.
Oh yeah, no, that okay. So let's bring this back in. Safety Not Guaranteed. Okay, so Safety Not Guaranteed. That is actually a reference to a real article a man took out that was that was one of the first memetic things to hit the internet.
I remember that.
It was an article of a mentally ill man saying, need someone to go back in time with me. I've only done this once. Must have survival skills. Your safety is not guaranteed. So he is perfect to make something in the vein for a millennial demographic.
Yeah, and it showed. Like I said, from the ground up, they even rewrote the script. Like they were handed this script. And you can go online, you can see the rumor mill of what Jurassic Park 4 was originally going to be. There was going to be, for example, one of the original pitches was a troop of trained Deinonychus that were going to, which basically is what the Velociraptor is. I mean, one of the things I will get up on Jurassic Park for just gratuitously is Velociraptor is in real life the 3-foot tall ankle biter from hell. It is not,
they're chickens. They became chickens.
Mm.
Yeah, but I mean, but Velociraptor is tiny. They lived in Mongolia, and they're tiny, and they have this like really curved snout that's really narrow, full of little tiny teeth. Fully feathered, all that kind of stuff. However, there is an animal that lived in North America called Deinonychus, and it is basically what the Jurassic Park raptors are. Like, there's really no reason to not have it be Deinonychus. Now, the funny thing about that is Michael Crichton wanted to be, cutting edge science when he was writing the book, and at the time, the man doesn't really know anything about dinosaurs. He's just writing a novel about them, and at the time, this scientist was making a push that Deinonychus was the same animal for a variety of reasons. He was wrong, but, it was the cutting-edge science stuff. So Michael Crichton, glommed onto that, and he was like, oh, great, these big 6-foot-tall things are raptors. They're not. But, whatever.
Well, I mean, think about it, too, from a marketing perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Deinonychus sounds dumb. Velociraptor sounds like fast, I'm dead.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Deinonychus runs the greengrocer down the road from me.
Diana-nychus, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll just pipe in here real quick. I haven't heard the commentary track on the movie. I'm actually now keen to go back and listen to it.
There isn't one.
Okay, then
I'm very mad about this. That was one of the things I was looking forward to.
All right. So, because I'm drawing issue with you a little bit regarding commentary on Hollywood, because my guess is if you talk to a non-American who's seen this movie, that's not the commentary they get from the movie.
Yeah, probably not. I'm just saying, if you go to like /film.com, and it is called /film, like it's not a slash symbol, it is SLA.
Gotcha. Yeah.
/film.com, look up Jurassic World, go to the Colin Trevorrow interviews, and that's all he talks about is how Indominus Rex is the meta-commentary of the escalation of Hollywood. It's not enough now to just have dinosaurs. You can't just have a T-Rex kill people. You have to have something bigger, angrier, badder than a T-Rex. Yeah. But you can't really do that.
Yeah. The only reason I notice these things is because if I didn't, they would come take my degree away. I can't help but deconstruct everything because that's what I have to do.
I do too. I took a script writing class when I was at my college that I actually teach at. It's weird. Just as a side note, I graduated preschool. I grew up in there with my mom in the art room. I went to school there, got my AA there, and now I'm teaching there. It's crazy. It's like I cannot get away from this place. But anyways, one of the classes I took there was a script writing class, and I cannot help anymore but deconstruct every movie I watch down to the arc, the pacing, the character types, the plot structure, use of MacGuffin, plot twists, things of that nature. I can't help but tear these things apart. Jurassic World is very much everything the director was talking about. And like you're welcome to disagree. I mean, all art is interpretive to an extent. But he set out with that intention. It's a commentary on Hollywood as it stands currently today.
Okay.
I mean, even look at, like, say, The Hobbit, right? The Hobbit's supposed to be a prequel to Lord of the Rings films, but they need to be escalated because they're, as far as Hollywood's concerned, part 4, 5, and 6.
Yes. They couldn't take a step back with those movies. They had to go bigger and better. Absolutely.
Right. Even though if you were watching them chronologically, it would only make sense that Return of the King be the grand finale. But as far as Hollywood's concerned, that's not acceptable.
No.
And okay, but to go, yeah, what I was talking about, though, was the other Jurassic Park things. Like, there was, at one point, the plot was going to be half man, half dinosaur hybrids.
Yeah, I saw that. That was freaky.
Yeah, you can look up the art. I mean, ILM denies it, but but it's been floating around for a long time. I think it's real. I mean, if it's not real, whatever. But it's got a lot of traction, and there is a lot of rumor mill that somebody somewhere was talking about that, because again, Hollywood, they were like, well, how do we escalate this? How do we make it bigger and better? And like the Deinonychus idea that I was talking about before I sidetracked myself it was a trained team, and it was basically like Navy SEALs, only this guy's in charge of dinosaurs, and they would go in and perform rescue missions, and then something would go completely south, and that would be what the movie was about. And it's just like, so you basically got to have dinosaurs versus guns, which you'll note in Jurassic World, there is that sequence. They ramp Jurassic World up in ways that are just insane to me. I mean, as I'm watching this movie, again, as a person who's taken the script writing classes, as a person aware of the meta commentary, there are helicopters falling out of the sky and exploding after they've launched, 50 cows at it. I mean, this is insane. This movie is crazy.
Yeah, the whole scene where it releases the pterodons out, that was just ridiculous.
Well, and that was one of the scenes where I do kind of roll my eyes, because I'm like, yeah, oh God. Okay, she is the only woman to ever die in all 4 of these films, and it's easily the worst death, without question. Oh my goodness. But that was one of those scenes, for example, where it was like the escalation was ridiculous. The pteranodons fly out, and with all of this sky available to them, they beeline for Main Street.
Yeah, they just attack people like monsters.
Yeah. And tagging along with them are Dimorphodons, which have really big heads and little tiny teeth. And Dimorphodon has actually always been one of my favorites because it's ridiculous looking. It's hilarious. The head is very lightweight and full of hollows, which is why it can be so big. But it's basically a flying Venus flytrap. It eats insects, and you've got this little tiny dude attacking people. It's absurd. But it was a fun sequence. It was ridiculous. And so I mean, it just, and there's also just to get into it for people who may be curious, is like, how do you make a sequel out of Jurassic World? Oh boy, do you ever make a sequel out of Jurassic World. There's a couple of things that hint as to how they can. A bunch of the embryos get off the island. Yeah, for example,
the Newman plot.
Right, Newman. And there's also all of that subtext where they talk about it being, a military experiment, because I mean they're basically talking about breeding, expendable shock troops. They're not people, and they're pretty effective. In fact, in the universe of this film, from that sequence in the jungle where they're attacking all the mercenaries and killing them, holy crap, are dinosaurs effective? Oh my God! I mean, that was not even fair. And then there's actually a couple of interesting little bits where you listen to Gray, who's the younger kid, the genius kid. He's talking to his older brother, but his older brother's not paying attention. His older brother's looking at girls. But he's talking to his older brother about how, and all of this is science malarkey. I mean, this isn't real whatsoever. But he's talking about how in the movies universe, they're going to be able to pull genetic material straight from the dinosaur bones directly, and that they no longer need amber and preserved DNA. They can just clone whatever they've got bones of, as long as they're just like, that's nuts. And there's also a scene that was deleted ultimately, but one of the interviews I read from the director said he kind of wished he'd left it in hindsight, because he kept getting asked the question, how do you make a sequel? There's a scene where when Wu and Masrani are arguing with each other about the creation of the Indominus, Wu tells the guy, you're not going to be in charge of this forever. You eventually will not be the only one who can make a dinosaur. And that just kind of makes you wonder, where is this going to go? And the director has said a couple times, Jurassic World is not a title chosen by accident. So, let your mind go crazy with that one. I mean, oh God, there's Velociraptors down the street corner.
Oh man, I can't wait. It's going to be like, this summer, Jurassic World War.
Yeah, something crazy, right?
Yeah. So
I would probably accept it if it's a good presentation.
Yeah. What do we know for definite about the Jurassic 5?
2018, summer of 2018. That's the only thing we know definitely.
Of course, it's
and I don't. Movie. Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are returning.
Okay.
and
Direct.
it's supposed to be a trilogy.
Oh, it's supposed to be. Okay.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't have expectations. I just want more Jurassic Park.
Oh
And
yeah,
also,
I'm not going to not see it.
right, and my nerdiness. I don't care if it makes any like a sense whatsoever. Get Blue off that island. I want Blue in Part 5. That raptor was sweet. The best 2 seconds of cinema in my life is Blue riding Rexy's back. Okay.
You have to understand though, like Blue is like the Gamera / Godzilla of the Jurassic Park series. It is like, in the first film it's the horrible murderer. Then by the 4th film, it's the hero of mankind.
Well, Rexy that's T-Rex.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that. It's like
Part 1. I mean, if you're talking about raptors in general, sure.
Yeah, it's becoming Godzilla-esque, where it's like Godzilla and Ultraman are going to take out all the other dinosaurs.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this.
I don't either.
As long as I'm having fun. I know. I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying, as long as I'm having fun, they can do whatever they want. I just want them to have a good presentation. Jurassic World did nothing but make me mad. Once I got over my young child, dinosaurs are on the screen, the more and more I thought about it, just the angrier I got. That movie just does nothing but irk me. And then Jurassic World, it's like, the more and more I think about it, the more I become happy. I like that movie. There's a few things about it that are ridiculous, like I said. I mean, the Pteranodons and Dimorphodons attacking people is just, it's flat out stupid. There's no reason for this. The way that the Dominus gets out, again, stupid. No reason for this. The whole, what's that guy? I can't think of his name all of a sudden. But the security guard and like his whole plot line saying where he's like, "Oh, this is a great opportunity." I'm like, this is dumb, but I was okay with it. Surprisingly enough, I'm usually quite the stickler, but I think the dinosaurs overrode me and were like, "Flip the child switch to high."
Yeah, see, I didn't even see it as a dinosaur movie. I saw it as more of like a modern monster movie, like a B monster movie, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. We're here to have fun.
Yeah, but that's actually not far away from the original intent.
Well, sorry, the
Steven
second
Spielberg-
half,
Steven Spielberg,
the second half of the film becomes the monster movie.
sure, but Steven Spielberg with Jurassic Park. He has said for many times that he always intended to approach Jurassic Park from the point of view of Jaws on land. And he felt like he didn't actually pull that off. He was rather disappointed in himself, which I think is hilarious because I'm like, Jurassic Park is one of the greatest things you've ever done.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I missed the mark. It's like, what?
Well,
and
it's
then,
because it's more of a science fiction drama.
sure. But then you go to The Lost World, Jurassic Park, the sequel, and he comes back to direct the sequel. And he's only ever done that with Indiana Jones. And he comes back to direct the sequel because he feels like he didn't hit the mark with part 1. And then he becomes really disenfranchised with the film halfway through. Like, it's no secret he actually became very just bored with the movie and just got tired of doing it because he's like, is this really all there is to it? People run, dinosaurs chase them? I guess. All right, whatever. Because he just couldn't think of a way to spice it up. And in comparison, part 3 is the same thing. It's a farce where people get chased by dinosaurs. We have to make up a reason to put them on the island so the dinosaurs can chase them. And it's like, that's just not, there's nothing there. And then you go to Jurassic World and there's actually a lot there. You're back to, the ethics of science. I mean, we can make this great military weapon, but should we? Can we even control it? We have this idea in our head, but do we do that? There's suddenly we're talking about stuff again. It may be flimsy, but it's there. We actually have material to discuss. And they do.
Definitely better.
Yes, but Jurassic World just hit all of my nerdy switches in just the best ways. Like I said, I went 11 times.
That's an illness.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
But
I'm concerned.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I'm impressed. This 2015 was the first year I have ever gone and seen a movie at the cinemas for a second time.
Ooh.
I saw Mad Max Fury Road a second time, and I saw. No, I'll leave that for another day. But I absolutely adore that movie. and then I saw Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It's the first time ever in, say, 20, nearly 30 years of cinema watching that I've actually gone back and paid to see a movie a second time in a cinema. I'm impressed with your 11 times.
I am a broken person.
Oh
If
god.
I like a movie, if I like a movie, I tend to go see a movie over and over and over and over. Even movies that I don't like, I tend to go see over and over and over if there's a reason to do so. I do not like James Cameron's Avatar for a great many reasons that we can discuss later, but it was a beautiful movie, so I went 9 times.
Jesus.
Wow.
What? Man, the most I've seen a movie in any recent history, I went to see Big Hero 6 3 times.
I just saw 10 Cloverfield Lane for a 3rd time.
Like, I tend to, if I like a movie enough, I will watch it in theaters once, but then when it comes out on Blu-ray, I will get it and then I will play it a bunch. Like, my most played movie is Scott Pilgrim. Like,
That is the first movie that ever made me feel old.
that is some, like, because that is Edgar Wright, I think, correct?
I love Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I thought that was a good movie, but like it made me feel old. It was like I get every single joke. I totally appreciate the comic timing, but there's so much of it concentrated in this one movie that I'm just like, oh my god. I don't know how to handle this anymore. So that was interesting for me. I mean, as soon as the credits start and it's just like, wow, music, bright colors, I'm just whoa.
Yeah, it's full go. I've described Scott Pilgrim as what it looks like in my brain.
Yeah, and you see, that was the thing. Like I feel exactly as you do. That's like how my brain operates. But then I was kind of like, I don't know if I can actually like handle it being presented to me this way.
So let's talk about the video games for just a little bit.
Are you wanting to ask me about Trespasser?
I was gonna say Trespasser because I ended up watching all of those Let's Plays by the guy from.
Oh, you did.
What was it, Giant Bomb? Or no?
He research indicates from something awful forums.
Something awful. Sorry. That was one of the best deconstruction Let's Plays I've ever seen. I think it's the only deconstruction Let's Play I've ever seen.
As far as I'm concerned, every single person listening to this podcast, go to YouTube, go look up Jurassic Park Trespasser Let's Play by Research Indicates. The name of the guy is Research Indicates. He's a member of the Goon Squad, so if you hate them, sorry. But he does it's the most amazing Let's Play ever. It's almost like watching a history presentation more than watching somebody play a game, even though he plays the entire game. It's incredible.
Because it's funny because the Jurassic Park games exist in like it's so weird because no one knows really how to approach the game. It's basically the history of the games.
Do you run from the dinosaurs? Do you fight the dinosaurs? What do you do about the dinosaurs?
But like so for the Super Nintendo, there was the game that was like a puzzle game, but also there were dinosaurs.
And what did the dinosaurs do?
They attack you, and if you've run out of electric gun energy, you run from the dinosaurs. The closest we'll ever get to a good Jurassic Park world is called Ark Survival Evolved.
I was just talking about that with my friends I'm staying with this morning. They were like, you should play Ark. You'd like it. But no, you're right. They don't know how to approach a Jurassic Park game. It's like, do you fight the dinosaurs? Do you run from the dinosaurs? I actually think the only Jurassic Park game that's ever gotten it right was the one that let you build your own dinosaur park. It's like, hey, let's make SimCity and Jurassic Park together. I mean, that seems like a winning combination, and you know what? It is.
Yeah, because
I just want something to actually make that good. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the only thing that works, but I mean, so let's talk Trespasser, because I think Trespasser originally was the idea that should have worked. Trespasser is also very influential on my childhood because it has basically put up an immunity to being disappointed in video games.
Damn.
Yeah. It's not far from the truth. Jurassic Park Trespasser is a game that is credited with inspiring a lot of Half-Life, for example. So, I mean, this game has a legacy. If there's a lot of games that you enjoy right now, chances are Trespasser was part of why it happened. The technology and the ideas behind this game were amazing. So what Trespasser's original idea was, first fully physics engine game, first person environment, basically a survival game on Isla Sorna, Site B. It was billed as the digital sequel to The Lost World. So you were going to play a character named Anne, who crashes on the island, and from a small plane jet. She gets knocked off course by a storm, and they crash. Contrived reason to be on the island, because who the hell would go there in their right mind? But anyway, so your goal would be to survive. You would have to turn on power to the radio tower at the center of the island, the only one that's still working. And to do so, you would have to explore the island. You have to turn the geothermal vents back on. You have to do this, do that, do the other thing, find ways to get there. It was going to basically be just an open world survival game where you were just in the dinosaurs environment, and the dinosaurs were going to have different modes of AI. Like they would have hunger, fear, aggression, all kinds of different settings, and depending on the values of those settings, they would behave towards you differently. This was going to be amazing. I mean, you could basically just sit there and watch dinosaurs graze and then watch other predatory dinosaurs hunt them. And I was terribly excited about this. I followed it adamantly as a fifth grader. No, sorry, not a fifth grader, sixth grader when they started talking about it. And it was like my first big internet fandom thing. I was asking them questions, and then they actually got posted on the facts part of the website, frequently asked questions. And there was my question with an answer from the developer, and it was really cool. And they were talking about how the dinosaurs wouldn't have hit points. They would actually have body parts that you can attack. So like you can hit the head, and it would do more damage than anything else, right? A T-Rex might be a T-Rex, but man, if you have a shotgun blast right to that eye socket, it's not going to appreciate it. I'm just like, wow, that just sounds great. Guns were going to be rare because they're guns, and they don't work and blah, blah, blah. It was going to be the coolest damn thing ever. Wound up being a little bit too ambitious.
Yeah.
Far, far, far too ambitious. And the product that wound up getting released was a corridor hallway shooter. And I mean like, oh, you're going down a corridor in the jungle because there are hills to your left and right that are too steep to climb up. So you're just going down this like predetermined path for you. There are guns everywhere. I mean, you are tripping over guns. And there are velociraptors like the plague on this island, coming at you from all directions at all times.
Feebly, mind you. They are feebly coming at you with their inverse kinetics all numbered wrong, so their legs are falling out from under them.
They fall out. Yeah, they trip all the time. They're constantly stumbling. They can't come after you. They're pathetic. But you're just murdering them by the dozens. At one point, I wanted to see what it would take to kill a T-Rex, so I spent an hour on this one level just gathering all the guns I could. I made literally a pile of guns in the middle of this work shed that a T-Rex couldn't reach me in. And I shot the T-Rex. And despite literally pumping hundreds of bullets into this T-Rex, it never once got the idea to run away from me until it died. It was grossly disappointing. The final fight is you on top of the mountain in a radio tower, and you get attacked by two raptors and a big one.
A big raptor.
Right? The big raptor. Oh, it's on now. I'm like, really? It's an easier target. It was disappointing as all hell. And there were some really weird design choices too. Like they could never get both arms to work. So your character of Anne, who is voiced by Minnie Driver, they got some star talent for this game. Yeah, they got some star talent for this game. Minnie Driver is the voice of Anne. They even got Sir Richard Attenborough, may he rest in peace, to come in and do lines of John Hammond because your character had read Hammond's memoirs about the island.
And could
there was public knowledge after
hear his voice in her head.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of appreciated that. It was fun. Like there's one part where he talks about, he recommends using helicopter if you want to hunt dinosaurs because don't do it on the ground. And there were some really good things about it. The island was great and all that stuff, but it was just a corridor shooter and disappointing. But like I said, there's some weird things about Anne. They can never get both arms to work, so she only has her right arm. Although props to this game for being one of the only games ever where you can turn the gun on yourself and kill yourself by shooting yourself, or you can just kill raptors gangster style by holding the gun sideways.
I think the best part about her character model is that if you look down, you can see her cleavage, and she has a heart tattoo, and that's how you track your health.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say next. I mean, that's how you track
Wow.
your health. She's got a heart tattoo, and as you take damage,
Wow.
it fills up, and
So-
barbed wire like starts choking it. And it's like, so you have to look down at your cleavage.
Yep. You have
To
to
see
look
what your
at
health is at.
cleavage to see how you're doing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really, really weird design thing, and like you don't have an ammo counter because they want you to be in the environment, right?
So she
Despite
just
the fact that this
constantly
tattoo somehow changes.
She's constantly saying how many bullets are in the chamber. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's empty.
Feels full. Seems about half. It's empty. Thank you. It was a weird saying, but I had such expectations for this game before it was released, and then it was completely not what I had followed for over a year and a half. Right, so when this game comes out, it is just everything I was expecting is not what it is. I'm disappointed as all you can get. I still kind of enjoyed it because I was like 13, but I was disappointed even as a kid. I was like, oh.
What have they
Sadness.
done?
And so when Blizzard's like, we're not adding Farallon to Warlords of Draenor, I don't care. Nothing will ever reach that level.
It's like, I have developed an apathy no man can reach past.
I cannot be harmed, and that is how Trespasser has affected my life. You can do whatever the hell you want in your video game. If it's even 95% close to what you're even talking about, I don't care.
My scar tissue is armor.
Essentially. And then, there's actually been a lot of Jurassic Park games besides that. There was one for the NES that I really liked that was based on the book that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I was doing quick read through. I was very surprised to see that many games.
Yeah, there was an arcade cabinet shooter that was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've not played a single one, but I was quite surprised to see the sheer volume of Jurassic Park
I
games.
remember going to Chuck E. Cheese and crawling in that Jeep. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Good God, that's so fun.
My brother and I played through it together. We spent like $20 and we got through the whole thing. It was fantastic. I loved it. So much fun. So good. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of games, and some of them are really great. Some of them really not so much. But like I said at the beginning, I still think probably the one that nailed it is the Park Simulator. The Park Simulator itself was not made very well. It's not a good game, but that's the right idea. Like, that's what they should be doing.
Yeah.
We should make more of that.
That's how I would envisage a good Jurassic Park game. A sim meets what's that style of game where you
Zoo Tycoon.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of what there's a park game that is basically that. It's just not well executed, but that's what it is, and it's been modded to all hell. People are just like, this game is a great thing, so they keep doing it. They're just modding it like crazy. Trespasser is also being modded like crazy, by the way. There's somebody doing a CryEngine remake. Just if you're curious.
Isn't the CryEngine free now? So
I think so. I think that's why it's happening.
Every game you could ever want can be made now.
Yeah. Unity also, if you want to go that route. But yeah, this guy's been remaking Trespasser. I mean, Trespasser still has a lot of fans because of the potential that it represented. It was supposed to be something, and then it just wasn't. The irony of it is that it was actually just probably one of those things that was too far ahead of its time. It was a great thing if they'd waited like 5 years.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, it sucks when you see games come out not just games, but movies come out on the cusp of what's next. Because, I mean, you have no foresight. You don't really know.
Right. No, exactly.
It's so heartbreaking. So, Jurassic Park. Watch the first movie, read the book, so that you can understand what a blockbuster novel looks like.
Right. Actually, I was going to say, that's the weird thing about Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park actually does some things that are even weirder. It's the only sequel Michael Crichton ever wrote. And he only did it because they were making another movie. He felt like he should just get on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
And the funny part about that is the book he wrote, even though he was just kind of like, whatever, I'll just do it. The book he wrote is way better than that movie.
Yeah. It's funny.
Oh, man.
Crichton hits upon the idea of, like I said, the blockbuster novel.
Yeah. And you know what? Just like all of his other books, it's still full of interesting ideas. One of the things I really liked about his book, The Lost World, that I really took to heart was his take on evolution. He actually makes a comparison between Alice and the Red Queen and Alice in Wonderland, and when the Red Queen tells Alice, you need to keep running as fast as you can to stay where you are. And it's like, wow, that's actually very accurate. If you stop changing, Everything else that is still changing passes you by. So you have to keep running as hard as you can just to stay where you are. Otherwise, you'll get destroyed. And, these are things that he talks about in that book. He also, like all Crichton novels, he talks about the fallacies of technology. Don't be too dependent on it. Don't put all your trust in it. Kind of like Terminator. There were a couple of themes there. Because, like in the Jurassic Park novel, for example, he basically talks about, putting all your faith in automation, which is very different from the movie. From the movie's point of view, that island is working and everything is fine until Nedry screws it all up and the hurricane hits at the same time. Otherwise, it would have worked wonderfully, is kind of how the movie presents itself. In the book, this place is a disaster. They just didn't even realize it because they were so ensconced in the system. They didn't see that the system was ruined until outside observers came to the island and said, hey, this thing's a wreck. And, as soon as they get there, they notice that there are motion sensor tracking systems, for example, that are counting the dinosaurs on the island. So you tell the motion sensor tracker there's supposed to be 157 animals or whatever. I'm making up numbers. But there's supposed to be 157 animals. And so it looks and it counts for 157, then it stops counting. And then if you tell it, hey, I think they might be breeding in the wild, even though you say they're not supposed to. Let's tell it to look for 500 animals. And then it finds 493 because it just never looked higher than what you told it to look for. So it's giving you a false positive. And there are other things too, like the feeders are all automated and they don't realize that it's feeding, animals that have bred in the wild. Hell, even the reason that they are there in the book in the first place is because the dinosaurs are actually using the boat to the mainland to get to Costa Rica. The velociraptors and the Procompsognathus have actually been breeding the whole time. They've been escaping because they're small when they're little, and they've been getting on the boat and then going to Costa Rica. And it's mentioned in both novels. It's never really dealt with, but it's mentioned in both novels that there are really large lizard things being reported in the jungles of Costa Rica and other parts of Central America. But it's never really dealt with. But it was just kind of a thing to point out. You think you've built this system. You think your system is great. You think your system is wonderful and infallible. But, is it not?
Nature finds a way.
But it's loaded with Swiss cheese.
Exactly. You just took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, nature finds a way. But that's actually never said in the... Well, not to that degree. Like, that's not the point of the books. The point of the books is that your system is wrong. Like, you cannot control these things. There's and it's permeated throughout the book. Like there's a sequence in the book where Alan, Lex, and Tim are on a raft or on an inflatable raft, and they go into an aviary with a couple of, they're not pteranodons. I can't remember exactly what animal that they are, but they are introduced to the environment while they are still constructing the aviary because the people in charge draw parallels to other exotic animal bird species that live on Earth today because they have nothing else to draw from as an example. So they want the animals to be familiar with their environment and to be familiar with the idea of people being in them to observe them from these observatories that they're building inside of the aviary. Well, they never finish it because it turns out the damn things are territorial and that they like to fly to the top of the aviary and then dive bomb you like a rock and knock you out. And then start to attack you. So they never finish it because they introduced the animal too soon, because they had no example to draw from. They're not as smart as they think they are. Obviously, this leads to bad things happening to Lex, Tim, and Alan.
Well, yeah, it's because it was built for theme park purposes, not for zoological reasons.
Yeah, and especially in the book. And even then, kudos to the book for even that idea. One of the things about innovation and technology in general, aside from a few fringe cases, but this is kind of the sad truth of it. If it's not going to make you money, there's kind of no point in doing it. Like, you can be as altruistic as you want, but you're going to run out of money before you finish, and then no one else is going to care. So you need to do it to make money to a great extent. There is no point in cloning dinosaurs unless you're going to show them to other people and charge them money to look at them.
True.
So I was like, man, that is spot on. Yeah, and like I said, Jurassic Park also influenced a great desire in me to learn about science and how things work. Because again, I read that book in 3rd grade, all 400 pages of it. It made sense to me, but it also made me start to question a lot of things. I'm just like, systems and technologies and how things work, and do I really have control? And I was really too young to wrap my head around it, but the idea was there, right? Like I had the thought in my mind, and as I read more and more and more Michael Crichton books, I started to become very paranoid about my place in the world and society as it was. I mean, I've come to terms with a lot of it, and there's things about it that I disagree with him, as things have progressed further. But he just did not trust full automation. He did not trust full technology, and I can appreciate that, and it has kind of shaped me. I mean, people talk about the self-driving car, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to be so great," and I'm the one who's frantically looking for reasons why it's bad.
Well, yeah, just this week, Microsoft attached their AI to Twitter, and in 24 hours, it became a Hitler-supporting genocidal thing that was tweeting about hating feminists and wanting to kill them all and watch their bodies burn. So they had to disconnect it from the internet. Which
is hilarious.
Like,
but also very sad.
It was like Hitler did nothing wrong. I was like, oh God, the AI, please stop it. That's terrifying.
Right, but that also goes to like even my last subject. I'm talking about Terminator. Why would you just give this thing total control and autonomy? I mean, when we eventually do talk about the Matrix, I mean, one of the things that drives me crazy was the Matrix backstory. They're like, let's build an army of AI robots to do our every bid and whim, and we're going to give them self-autonomy. And they're going to determine eventually that they don't want to be destroyed. It's like, so you basically just craft a slave race for yourself? Why in the hell would you do that?
So, any final thoughts on Jurassic Park?
I have a question for you guys.
What?
So
Sure.
the 12-year-old in me wants to know, when can I pay my $50, and how soon do you think I can pay my $50 and go to a real life Jurassic Park?
I don't know. A lot of science is still being held back by civilians. I don't want to get political, but science still has a lot of ways to go in becoming self-liberated. But
yeah,
because the closest we've gotten, well, here's the thing. There's still stuff going on with genetics. So there was a clone of a goat that was made that could produce spider silk in real life.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So right now,
that's scary, but okay.
Well, it's because, think of it this way. If you can take a goat and get goat's milk, if you could produce a goat that from its udders produces spider silk, you could produce insane military-grade hardware, like vests. You could make new ceramics and plastics because, like, as great as humans are, we can't produce stuff as efficient or as strong as the things nature produces. If you could create a cable, elevator cable out of what certain spider silks are made out of, you would make a cable that would never break ever.
Under normal pressures.
Yeah, it's just, there are certain chemical compounds that are made in nature that are stronger than steel per ounce.
There's a lot of things. There's also some fears that are unfounded. Like people freak out about. They call them like Frankenstein foods. They're like, oh, scientists are freaking out with stuff foods. Oh, modified this, modified that. I'm just like, yeah, but we've done that all the time. I mean, you're basically saying a scientist goes in there, takes some cells, turns a few switches. It's still the natural product. We've just forcibly made it a certain way. We haven't really altered it. Carrots used to be purple.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we selectively bred carrots until they were orange
for the keratin.
Right. And so when you look at like a lot of these foods and people are just like, oh, I don't like it when the scientists mess around with the food. It's just like, yeah, but all they did was skip to the end. Like they didn't actually change your carrot or your corn. They just skipped to the end of the result that they wanted.
The biggest byproduct of the contention between science and civilians is that a lot of people aren't educated enough to understand it. So if they don't understand it, it must be bad. Because they saw...
Dihydrogen monoxide will kill you.
Oh, man, it will. I've almost died to it several times in my lifetime. I learned...
That stupid dihydrogen monoxide. I can't believe Subway uses that to make sandwiches. It's awful. Why would you do that?
Now,
dihydrogen monoxide, it must be banned. It must be banned.
Now, that isn't to say that it's all wrong. So there are certain chemicals and things that are put to market that no one understands the effect of.
We haven't. Yeah, there's been certain preservatives. I'm just like, we haven't had people live under the effects of having eaten these to actually know what it's going to do to someone.
It's kind of like it's like on one hand they're like, stop the GMOs. On the other hand, I'm gonna vape right now, even though there's absolutely no precedent for what vaporized mineral oil will do to my lungs.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's run with that. But don't you dare touch my corn.
Yeah, it's a little misdirected.
But
So-
no, see, the cloning and stuff that happens in Jurassic Park up until the fourth movie is it's mad science basically. Whereas what's
and it's
happening,
narrow mad science to boot.
yeah, this stuff isn't really going to happen in real life because nobody's going to fund anything that's not utilitarian. Like they're going to be like, well, what do we get from this? If you clone this animal, if you mix these genes, how does that help me? No one's going to be like, hey, I want a real Godzilla. Let's make that happen. Like Elon Musk is like Godzilla by 2020.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no reason to do that. That's crazy. Why would you do that?
So not in my lifetime.
Probably
yeah,
not. I'm sorry.
Probably not. I mean, so for that to happen collectively, humanity's base education has to become much higher. The bar has to move a lot higher than it is now. You're not going to have some meth head like accidentally making dinosaurs. Now, it could happen if there is a, in the future, humanity's collective education rises to the point where, your kid isn't playing with letter blocks. He's building his first microprocessor.
Yeah, we're a long way from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but it's a long way away.
Well, let's put it this way: the closest we've ever gotten to Jurassic Park happening is they actually, and of all dinosaurs, it was T-Rex. They actually did get some preserved proteins from a T-Rex bone. Like the actual bone was preserved. It wasn't fossilized and replaced by mineral. It was preserved. Yeah, we had to crack the bone in half because we couldn't. I'm saying we for some reason.
It was an accident. The bone broke, and they noticed there was a liquid inside.
Yeah, and not quite that way. I mean, it was like they were like, that looks different. They sliced it. They looked under a microscope. Oh my god, it's still alive, right? And it was just vacuum preserved, and it survived the millions of years. And there wasn't enough to work with, but there was enough of the protein markers that they were able to make a direct comparison between Tyrannosaurus Rex, a couple of species of lizard, and predominantly chickens.
Yep.
T-Rex was the biggest freaking chicken ever.
Yeah, they're chickens. Like, you should, if you're not a farmer or something, you should go watch chickens. You should pick up a chicken and tilt it and watch its naturally perfect gyroscope keep its head from moving a single atom. It's terrifying if you realize that is the remnants of dinosaurs.
Yeah, dinosaurs are birds. I mean, like, it is indisputable at this point. They are the remains of dinosaurs.
But the closest...
So when you see a flock of...
Go ahead.
Yeah, when you see a flock of geese flying over your head, it's just like, those things used to kill people.
Yeah.
Well,
and the
not
closest...
really. They used to kill other things.
Not kill people, but kill.
65 million years removed. Hey, I have seen the Creationism Museum online where they talk about how we defended our farms from T-Rex and we actually plowed our fields with Triceratops, and they have a model of a Triceratops saddle.
Man, that would have been awesome.
They try to say that the reason the dinosaurs died was because they couldn't fit on Noah's Ark. And I'm like, are you kidding me? While there were some exceptional examples of dinosaurs, the average dinosaur was under 5 feet tall. They could have totally fit on the Ark.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sure.
So the closest thing, the first creature we will probably see ever get revived is going to be a mammoth, because they have the most amount of preserves that have been discovered frozen in ice. So it's probably going to be a mammoth.
I want the Tasmanian tiger.
Yeah, bring back the Tasmanian tiger. Rip in pieces.
And the dodo. Dodo.
You're right. You're right. I do think they, what they will be able to bring back is something more recently extinct rather than...
Yeah, and just why I actually have a lot of hope for some of the things that have been lost lately. And also why I just think they should probably go down to Africa and just start like taking genetic samples of everything that's getting poached like crazy
Yeah,
down there.
just make a genetic arc.
Yeah, and just go for it one day once the technology's ready.
You hear
to go.
that, Elon Musk? Genetic arc by 2025.
Oh yeah, because he's totally listening. We are just we are so big, man. We are causing
Bigger than Jesus.
causing Thunderbirds to come back. We're causing Thunderbirds to come to America. We are just the biggest thing on podcasting ever. Because we are just that full of ourselves.
We're good. We're good.
I know.
We're good.
Yeah, Jurassic Park. Just man, I love it so much. It's affected me so greatly. I could talk about it forever. It's just one of those wonderful things that I'm eternally grateful for its existence. I'm so happy that it's back. I was really confused when I went to the wedding in Texas that I mentioned. There were people on street corners and walking around in towns wearing Jurassic Park tank tops and Jurassic Park backpacks, and they weren't kids; they were adults wearing Jurassic Park shirts. And I was just like, "What year is it?" I had no idea what was going on. I was so confused. I mean, I'm wearing a Jurassic Park shirt right now for the podcast that none of you can see, but haha. But I'm wearing a Jurassic Park shirt because I bought it last year. What is going on? I feel like I'm living in a time capsule. It's fantastic. Now I'm just kind of waiting for a really good Jurassic Park game to happen. That would be good.
Hopefully we
really
can get
good.
the Spider-Man of Jurassic Park movies.
It would be great. I mean, I'm looking forward to part 5. I think that would be good to have. Also, just because some people were really upset about it, the dinosaurs didn't have feathers in Jurassic World. I felt that got handled very well. Wu talks about dinosaurs aren't natural, that they're genetically modified and they create them to look how they want them to look.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, the next one, because different people will be cloning the dinosaurs, if the dinosaurs actually do have feathers and they're more accurate.
It sounds cool.
That'd be cool.
I can't wait.
Yep.
Because it's funny how this episode changed the way I feel about the 4th movie. Because now I have to accept that the people who make the movie that I'm watching know that I'm watching the movie.
Well, it also served its purpose. I mean, think of it this way. There's people like me, people who are older than me, who are able to take like their kids to a Jurassic Park movie for the first time and stuff like that. And it reintroduced Jurassic Park to mainstream consciousness. Now with part 5, balls in your court, Universal, impress me.
I think
now. I mean, we're back. Jurassic Park is back. I'm ready for the adventure. Do it.
The biggest takeaway from this for me is that at some point we need to do an episode based around why is it media has become so serious to us? Because I'm sitting here realizing, like, I'll watch a movie or something and I'll get angry. And I'm like, why am I getting angry? It's not real. It's entertainment. And that happens all the time with stuff. Like movies and stuff. There are actors who appear on TV who will play a bad guy, and then someone will see that actor in real life and will fight them, as in punch them. And they're like, I hate you. Why did you do this? So
the poor guy who played the EPA person from Ghostbusters got called Dickless for like the rest of his life.
Yeah, seriously. Well, that's more of a like, ha ha ha. That's funny. But
but we associate them directly with it. It's weird.
I just think at some point we need to make an episode where we evaluate why it is media has become, I don't know, it's become real, I guess.
If I were to just hazard a guess right now off the top of my head, I think it's because we can all share it now better than we could before.
Yeah.
Like before, if you talk to one another, you were talking to your coworkers about work because, you didn't have the internet to reach off across to somebody in New Zealand and somebody on the other side of the country and be like, hey, what did you think of, the new Batman vs. Superman movie that's coming out? Next week we're going to be able to talk about that. Before that wasn't really an option.
No, I think it's always been there. I think just the reaction times are so much quicker now because of the internet.
But I mean, like I've seen some real fights though. I mean, like I can tell you right now, Ted and I are probably going to freaking kill each other over Mass Effect.
But there are soap stars, TV stars, and each country has their own allotment of soap shows, and those soap shows have villains, and each one of them will tell you they'll go down to the grocery store and they'll come somebody and get right in their face and tell them how terrible a person they are for, you know, the character they play, but that person in the grocery store, you know, can't separate the fact that this is just the person playing the part. It's always been there. It's just now the voice is so much bigger and so much quicker and so much wider.
Well, even one of our guildmates from World of Warcraft was complaining about the scene where the security guard gets killed by the raptor and Owen doesn't try to stop it, and he's like, yeah, Owen doesn't try to do anything because Chris Pratt's a jerk. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Was that even predicted?
Yeah.
So this has been an enlightening episode.
I'm glad.
It's been a great one.
I hope people enjoyed it. I think Jurassic Park is cool because it's a science fiction that is believable, which a lot of people don't get correct. A lot of people will deem something science fiction, but it's actually science fantasy. Like, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
So
like
hopefully,
Star Wars.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get more of this.
More, please. More.
Yeah, more science, science fiction.
I, you know, for what it's worth, they can make as many Jurassic Parks as they want. Even if I hate them, I'll still watch them.
True.
You know, and yeah, so I mean, I guess we're wrapping it up then.
Yep.
Just real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to Brittany and Josh for letting me stay at their house and play Magic all week and letting me record this podcast and taking their kids away from here so that I had silence to do it.
Thank you for not.
Thanks, guys.
You so much, guys.
Thank you for
so
not
much.
me.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for not making me do an episode on a few hours' notice.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, you know, if they hadn't let me do this, 10 would have had to have done an episode with just him and Veet. So we are eternally grateful, and that's why I'm going to shout out to you guys here on the podcast. So forever, you know how grateful I am.
So
thank you, Brittany and Josh.
So you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/N1sken, INONESKEN, no spaces, no apostrophe. Well, we are on SoundCloud and iTunes. If you are listening to us on iTunes, please take the time. If you stayed this long, just click 5 stars. That's all it takes to save starving artists. Do we
have some 5 stars?
It helps get our name seen by more and more people. And I will give a shout out to 3 people who did leave us 5-star reviews. Smam Redito left us one in New Zealand. A Perth listener, he knows who he is, from Australia. And a guildie of ours, Karsh, was kind enough to leave us a 5-star review in the USA.
Thank you, everybody.
Every little bit helps, guys.
It really does. Next week, we will be listening to me talk about a book series. It's kind of unique. It's called Lone Wolf. It is a role-playing book series. And I don't mean pen and paper. I mean you play the book as a single-player RPG while you're reading. So I think that'll be interesting. Make sure to join us then. I hope everybody had a wonderful time. What's up, Veet?
I was just going to say, where would be the best place for us to find some quick information about? Probably should have practiced before, but...
No, it's actually kind of hilarious. There is a website called Project Aeon, so www.projectaon.org. It is a digital collection that is officially supported by the author. It's a fan work where they have all the books, and you can actually read through and play them in your browser. So, yeah, www.projectaon.org. Like, check out the first book. It's called Flight from the Dark. It's not going to take a long time to get through because it does include elements of choose your own adventure, because this was written before video games.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's role-playing games before video games got big in the late 70s, 80s. I hope everybody had a wonderful time, and we will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Run!
Don't go into the long grass!